Every race ranked from worst to best. Now, this video is probably going to be one of the most heavily debated videos out of all of the videos I made over Blox Fruit. Because generally, people with their favorite race is generally going to be the race that they use, and they will think it's the best. So leave your opinions down in the comments below. I will be checking them out, and let's get right to the video, guys. Now, coming in 5th place, as you guys might all imagine, is going to be the human race. Now, the human does have a huge upside that all of the other races actually do not have. Human gives a permanent buff if you get to the V2 that you will still have when you switch the other races. So if you guys aren't aware, human V2 actually gives you an extra dodge. Now, the extra dodge you get from V2 will carry over even if you switch the race. So human does have that, very special thing in it that all of the other races don't actually have. Now, I'm going to be talking about all of the races as if they're going to be V3 because I feel like if I'm ranking them by V1 or 2, it doesn't really make sense because, V3 exists in the game right now. Also, V4 will be coming out soon. So if you guys want to watch me do a V4 tier list, hit that like button, subscribe. Before the actual human race. Now, the human race, when you actually get to V3, you get an increase in movement speed. You get, a much larger teleport ability, which is the R teleport flash step. And you actually get a slightly longer dash distance. Now, the ability you unlock on V3 is going to be an ability called Last Resort. Now, Last Resort makes you do more damage based on how low your hit points actually are. Now, this move, in my personal opinion, is probably the absolute worst out of all of them because it requires you to have already taken damage to be worth using. Now, I don't think that's really a very good thing because most of the time when you get caught into a combo, you're going to get one shot anyways if the player is any, decent at the game at all. Most of the time, you don't want to even be close to half HP. But if you are half HP and you manage to escape and pop this ability, your chance to one-shot the other person increases by, tenfold. You'll be able to one-shot someone extremely easy, but getting down to a low HP amount while also not getting one-shot at the same time can be quite difficult, making the human race overall really not that great other than the permanent dodge you actually gain. Now, it's also worth mentioning that human is the most common race in the game. I'm sure a lot of people, even with spinning races, probably still end up with human. So a lot of the time, you might end up facing a human and you might end up getting one shot because you completely forget that they have an ability that buffs their damage. But all in all, human is going to be ranking the lowest on this list. By the way, guys, what is your favorite race in Blox Fruits? We'll be checking them out. Now, coming to 4th place is going to be the Sky Race. Now, I know that this one's going to be a little bit contentious because a lot of people actually really enjoy this race's final ability. But in my opinion, I do think the passives of the Sky Race is probably the absolute worst out of all the passives out of all of them. Because basically, all the passives do is that you jump higher. You jump higher and your sky jump takes less energy. That's quite literally, the only thing that it gives. It does give an additional sky jump, but all in all, you jump higher and your jumps take less damage in the sky. But in 99% of the time, you're not going to run out of energy when you're doing Blox Fruits. So I don't really understand this. It probably should reduce it to 0. That might actually be, very useful. But all in all, the passives of sky just make you jump a little bit higher. I don't really think that's a very useful thing. But the thing that is so good about the Sky Race, other than the passives, is the final ability. Now, the Sky Race's V3 ability is called Heavenly Blood. Now, this ability actually makes your defense go higher, which is obviously very good, but it also will heal you for 20% of your HP. Now, if you combine this with other, damage reduction of, fruits like Diamond, you will actually get, obviously 35% damage reduction and you will get a bunch of healing. Now, I do think that this ability can be quite good because it is the most spammable ability out of all of the abilities out of all of them because it does have one of the lowest cooldowns out of all of them. So you can heal very good. I do think this ability is quite good. I just think the passives of this race don't really equate to any of the other passives. And I definitely think that, like Sky, the ability is extremely good if you're actually a runner in PvP. But if you're a runner in PvP, you're probably going to be using another race that will be listed later in this video. Also, I am one of the people that, why would you want to heal for HP when you could just not take damage in the first place? I think not taking damage is a little bit better than healing because if you reduce the damage you take, then passive regen will be able to, take over. But I do think this ability is still quite good, and I definitely think being able to heal on command is a very good ability. Now, coming to 3rd place is going to be the Fishman Race. Now, the Fishman Race is actually one of my personal favorite races in the game. It actually is the fish race in Blox Fruit. This race is so extremely fun and actually is really good for PvP content in the game. It's not quite as good as some of the other ones, but I definitely think that this can pretty much save your life in a lot of different scenarios. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the V3 ability of Fishman basically reduces all damage that you take. It reduces it by 85% damage. Pretty much all the damage that you take during a combo pretty much won't be added. So if you take 1,000 damage, you will, if you take 10,000 damage during this ability, you actually will only take 1,500 damage, 1,500. 300. So it's a really, really good ability. The cooldown on it is quite long. It's 30-second cooldown. So I definitely think that, you know, it's kind of the downside of the Fishman race. And it actually used to reduce more damage, but that was actually nerfed. But I do think, you know, being able to have a button that pretty much prevents you from dying in a combo situation is an extremely good feature. And I definitely think that if you don't have a fruit that can walk on water, Fishman is an absolutely amazing race for, you know, sea beast hunting, if, you know, you're into sea beast hunting. You also don't really need a boat half the time because you can walk through water. It still is faster to take some of the other boats, but I definitely think Fishman is a very, you know, useful race, but it's mostly meant for PvP content. And honestly, some of the other races have a little bit, you know, better, you know, defense than fish. Not just for damage reduction. Now, coming in second place is going to be the Cyborg race. Now, like I was saying with Fishman, there are some, you know, some of the races are actually better for defense than, you know, just straight up damage reduction. So the Cyborg, basically, the good thing about Cyborg is that actually gets quite a bit of damage reduction as well with the ability. With the ability, you actually get 30%, you know, damage reduction, plus the 10% that you get from the actual other version of it. Now, unfortunately, this only works for melee, sword, and gun damage, but, you know, most of the people in this game heavily rely on sword damage, and this is probably the absolute best race against someone using Buddha, because they're not going to be attacking you with fruit, they're going to be attacking you with the actual ability. So this is a hardcore Buddha counter, and the actual ability of Cyborg is absolutely nuts. Now, the actual ability basically makes an AoE effect around you that does tons of damage based on your level. So if you're actually max level, you will be doing a lot of damage to somebody. Now, it'll do around 3,000 to 4,000 damage to somebody, which doesn't sound like a lot, but this is completely passive damage that you just get from just using this ability. It also is extremely good for, you know, breaking observation, because since it's an AoE attack, you just get close to somebody, pop this ability, and boom, their observation is going to be going down. So this ability is insanely good for PvP. It is probably one of the best, you know, combo race. It is the best combo race in the game, if you don't include, you know, the ghoul race, you know, a passive ability. But I definitely think Cyborg is probably the go-to race for basic PvP content. But I definitely think the race above it does have a major advantage over Cyborg. But I definitely think Cyborg is super, super good, and it is a solid contender for also being in the #1 spot on this actual tier list. By the way, guys, when I hit 300,000 subscribers, I am going to be doing the one chip challenge. So I will be doing the one chip challenge at 300k subs. I just wanted to, you know, let you guys know that I did the, you know, the super spicy pepper challenge at 200k. At 300k, we're going to be getting a little bit hotter with the one chip challenge. So make sure to like, button, subscribe, guys. Now, I'm sure you guys were wondering, oh, hey, isn't there 6 races? Why did you start off with number 5? Well, coming in first place is going to be Ghoul and Mink. Now, I'm going to be starting off with Mink because Mink is one of those, you know, heavily debated races. And I'm sure people are going to debate in the comment section over Mink, but I personally think Mink is just way too useful to rank any lower than #1. Mink gives you an insanely huge boost to not only just movement speed out of the actual, you know, the awakening ability. The awakening ability of it pretty much just makes you extremely fast and makes you dash a lot faster. So I definitely think that that ability alone is extremely good. You know, you could run away in PvP and stuff like that, or get across the map. But it's actually the passives of Mink that is the reason why it's so good. The passives of Mink make your movement speed twice as much, and it makes your dashes further, and it makes it take less energy. Also, version 1, it makes your movement speed also faster. So the Mink passive will literally double the amount of speed you have when getting from location A to B. So Mink should be the go-to race for just general use in this game. There's a reason why almost everyone in this game uses Mink unless they're hardcore PvPers, because even in PvP, Mink is okay because you can just run away and stuff like that. And out of PvP, Mink is the best race. Out of PvP, Mink absolutely demolishes every other race. It is the best general use race simply because of the passives and the ability. So if you want to debate Mink being worse for PvP, that is fine. I agree with you. But Mink general use is absolutely amazing. Now, the other first place contender, like I said, is going to be the Ghoul race. Now, outside of the race being locked at night, I think the fact that it's locked to a lot of the passives being good at night is, I do think that is kind of the reason why Mink is contending with it, because it only unlocks a lot of these abilities at nighttime. But I'm going to be basing this race off of its fully, you know, maxed out form at night. So you get faster movement speed at night, and you get life leech. So basically, if you use a fighting style, you will heal the damage you do, which is honestly why 99% of the people that PvP with Buddha use Ghoul. Cyborg is also extremely good for Buddha because you will be, you know, very close to someone in PvP. But a lot of people choose to go with Ghoul because you can heal a lot of the damage you do while also also reducing damage from the actual Buddha ability itself. Now, this all sounds really, really amazing, and it really is, but the reason why I'm going to rank Ghoul so high up, dude, the ability of Ghoul is absolutely insane. Not only is it the longest lasting ability out of all of the races, but Ghoul V3 basically gives you 40% cooldown reduction. So you get, your abilities have half the cooldown. Let that sink in for a second. If you're fighting someone that's using Leopard and they pop this Ghoul ability, you're dying. That's the end of the story there. If someone's using Leopard and they pop Ghoul ability, you're dead. You're dead. Not only are they going to be way faster than you, but they're also going to out damage you, and they're just going to absolutely destroy you. So the Ghoul ability giving you 40% damage reduction is already an insanely good thing. Even if that was the only thing, it would still be insanely good. But it also buffs your damage by 10%. It makes you faster by 10%, and it buffs your defense by 15%. So it gives you a bunch of passives and makes you able to spam abilities more effectively. That's the main reason why a lot of people go for Ghoul, is because of this ability itself. It's pretty much good for any fruit in the game, but it absolutely excels on certain fruit. Anyways, guys, that's for this video. If you enjoyed this video, remember to subscribe, guys. Bye-bye.